Right, peeps, how is it going? Hillbilly Half-Wit here. Got a good one for you today. I think I've figured out why this Clermit scam is on go by a random article in the Financial Times. Yes. Now, this is perfectly true. If you think this is not true, go and read it for yourself. The Bank of England is run separate from our government, from what I understand. So when our government uses money, like Boris and the rest of them did during the pandemic, the quantitative easing happens, and then we have to pay that money back to the Bank of England. Well, there was a very interesting article in the Financial Times the other day, and sorry, I hit my nose the other day on the fire, about Ukraine. Now, you know that war that's going on over there that we're not allowed to talk about? Well, you remember there was a summit about a month ago that I did a video about where they came to the UK. I think it was just before the election, was it, or after the election? I can't remember. But I knew there was something going on. Well, this is what this article is about. What has happened is that Ukraine has borrowed 20 billion off the UK to try and keep fighting. And that's what this was. This was a creditors meeting. So they called in Zelensky to have this meeting about paying his creditors back, which is the Bank of England and others as well. So they'd made some deal and whatever was going to happen. But a month later, he rescinded the deal and he basically didn't pay anything. And he said, we're not paying back for 2 months. You know, like you do got your mortgage in the bank, and then you can say, I think you can do it for a bit, can't you? You can say, I'm not paying because I can't afford it. Well, he's done that on this 20 billion. And that has basically meant that for some reason, our UK government has underwritten the loans it's given to Ukraine. So that makes all of us people in the UK liable to pay the Bank of England back. I know this sounds bizarre. This sounds absolutely bizarre, but that's how it works. Absolutely nuts. Anyway, during this article, it also said about the money that needs to be paid back to the Bank of England by the UK government, us, by 2033. So do you remember that climate change has got to be done by 2035? Now this rung a bell in my head and I thought, something, I've always thought there's more to this. So this is what is in this article as well though. By 2033, the British taxpayer, us all, have got to pay back the money that has been quantitative eased during the pandemic and other things and this wars, back to the Bank of England. And the total is 150 billion. Yes, 150 billion pounds. So that's even too much for me even to think about. 150 billion, what would that be in millions? Is that 1,500? No, I can't even think about it. It's too big to even think about. So a billion is a million. It's flabbergasting. It's a huge amount of money anyway. You work it out. So by 2033, we've got to pay all this money back to the Bank of England. And it's going to cost every taxpayer in the UK £2,300. No, sorry, £2,030 each. Which doesn't sound too bad, does it? But, here's the big but. The figures in that article also show what's happening in the UK. So, out of everybody in the UK, 50% are working. So the other 50% aren't working. So that's knocked it down to only 50% of people are going to be paying this bill. But you have to remember 50% that are working for the civil service and other places, making no money for the country whatsoever. So they're just being paid out of the public purse, aren't they? So who's going to pay this bill? This is who's going to pay this bill. Out of that 50% of the UK population that are working, 25%, yes, 25% of the people who are going to pay that bill are people who are self-employed and are actually making money and putting money into the exchequer. So that 25% of people who are working are going to have to pay £10,500 each to pay this bill back. Me and you are going to have to pay to underwrite the UK war and all this money that was spent during the pandemic that we didn't want to. £10,500 by 2033. That is true. You go to the Financial Times and you read that article yourself. And then I suddenly thought, this is why climate change has got to be done by that amount of time, because there's a certain time that this is all got to be paid for. So all this money that they're borrowing to do these things is a reason. They're doing this and then they're going to get it all off us. The 25% of the country who are self-employed and are actually bringing money into the exchequer are going to be ducking screwed over. And the other people, civil service, whatever, won't be paying anything because they don't make anything. It's like I say to you, they don't make any money for anything. They don't produce any food or anything. So that's the video for today. Gaza, just thought to myself, how do we let this all happen? Why do we vote these gankers in? So that's the video for today. Gaza's didn't reckon much of this one. Please comment, rate and subscribe. All the best. Gaz.